Hey everyone, welcome to the tech room for Boater Plays Descent FreeSpace. It is early in the morning here at FragFest, so I'm going to keep it a little quiet. Alternatively, if you want a in-universe explanation, we're off of combat alert and everyone's catching some shut-eye. Okay, Descent FreeSpace. How am I playing it, and why is it one of my favorite games of all time? Well, first off, FreeSpace came out in 1998. It's called Descent FreeSpace. In Europe, it was called Conflict FreeSpace. I believe they couldn't get the just FreeSpace on its own. I believe was copyrighted for some sort of disk management utility, so they couldn't do that. In the United States, they slapped the Descent name on the front there. Now, this is not related to the Descent series, Descent 1, Descent 2, Descent 3. Descent 1 and 2 were developed by Parallax Software and published by Interplay. Parallax eventually split into two companies. One was Outrage, that went on to do Descent 3, and one is Volition, which made Descent FreeSpace. Interplay being the publisher, they were able to just slap that on there, and well, it got my business because I was originally a Descent fan. But FreeSpace is so much more than that. It's not related to Descent at all. It's just, I call it FreeSpace: The Great War. That's what it is. So, it came out in 1998, and its sequel, FreeSpace 2, came out in 1999. I originally was going to play this straight from the retail discs, Disc 1, Disc 2. And being from 98, the game plays at 640 by 480 resolution, which is, you know, welcome to the 90s. This game is 16 years old. So I would have been fine with that, though, and just being like, hey, you know, this is how we're playing it. This is a classic thing. Let's do this. But it also had an issue of just being like really flickery. My taskbar was showing at the bottom of the screen, and it was just really weird. So eventually that wasn't working. The same happened when I installed it off of goodoldgames.com. Now, if you don't have the discs because you got the games when they originally came out, like I did, you can get the games off of Good Old Games, GOG.com. FreeSpace is $6. FreeSpace 2 is $10. And right now, they're on sale. I'm going to give you a hint. All you need to get is FreeSpace 2, because in 2002, Volition split from Interplay and released the source code for the games. At least FreeSpace 2, I think FreeSpace as well. But since then, in the intervening 12 years, fans have been keeping the game up to date, keeping the engine current, keeping textures current, which means that right now I'm playing at 1920 by 1080 resolution. And the textures are mostly up to snuff to match. Mostly. So FreeSpace 2 Open is an awesome community project that is pretty much invaluable to playing FreeSpace 2 as well as numerous mods. Now, one of those mods is what I'm using, and it's the FreeSpace to FreeSpace 2 port, FreeSpace port, or just FS port. And that takes all of the assets for FreeSpace 1, as well as some optional things. Textures for 1024 by 768 for the HUD, which I use so that it's not like really teeny tiny bits all over the place. As a reminder, the game originally ran at 640 by 480. That's this. This is a screenshot. That's original size. So being able to scale up to 1024 by 768 and then have those assets being moved around on an even larger screen is invaluable. I didn't install, someone redid the music. I'm like, no, original music is fine with me. Someone redid the original cutscenes at 720p, and I may check those out at some point, but right now I just have the original cutscenes that are playing in the video there. So that's that, the FreeSpace 2 port and the FreeSpace to FreeSpace 2 project. FreeSpace 2 Open and FreeSpace Port. So those are what I'm using there. As far as actual controls, when I started playing the game back in the day, I was using just keyboard. You can also use mouse and keyboard or whatever. And it worked, you know, it got the job done. These days I'm using a joystick. I had a Thrustmaster Top Gun Afterburner joystick that I was using, and when I went to start it up for this latest round, its dead zone kind of looked like this. It was not pretty. So I got one of its successors, the Thrustmaster T-Flight HOTAS X. Now, I don't know if HOTAS is supposed to be pronounced like that. H-O-T-A-S, hand on throttle and stick. Throttle and stick. It's really immersive. I mean, I don't know if I'm more accurate with it. I might be more accurate, actually, with the keyboard. But it's a lot more fun that way. The thing has like 14 buttons or something ridiculous, and I have basically everything mapped to it. It's got the hat on top that I'm using for all the targeting, all the weapons is on the stick, most of the thrust controls are on the throttle, afterburner, match speed, equalizing shields is on the throttle. If you're watching this right when it's released, then shields haven't shown yet, but you have seen shields on the Shivens. So, spoiler alert, we get shields. Yeah, and pretty much the only thing that I don't have is assigning shield power to one quadrant. If I'm going in a head-to-head, keep it forward, keep it forward, keep it forward. So a second stick on the throttle would have been nice, but otherwise, a second hat on the throttle would have been nice. So, I mean, other than that, it's a great stick, and it's a great price. It was $40 off of, I think, Newegg. So I'm going to link to the Thrustmaster stick, as well as probably Newegg, maybe Amazon, a couple of links of where to buy it in the description below. In there, of course, you will also find information on the FreeSpace 2 port and on FS2 Open and FS1 port. So all that stuff is in the description, as well as the joystick. So there's that. Now, the game itself. I've talked about the technical side, how I'm playing it, what I'm using to play it. Now, the game. FreeSpace is one of my favorite science fiction stories. Like, I'm a Star Wars person through and through, and overall, I don't know if anything will beat it, just because it's always been a part of my childhood and all that. But FreeSpace was kind of the first sci-fi thing that I kind of discovered on my own, instead of my dad passing down a passion to me for it. And it was really the first sci-fi that I got into that was like a space opera sci-fi that was centered around humans of Earth and not humans of a galaxy long time ago, far, far away. So I really like that. And I don't know, something about the storyline of humans fighting this alien, and then this greater race of destroyers comes in and just starts wrecking shit. And I don't know, I really enjoy coming back to it. Part of it might just be that it's so immersive. Space simulators as a genre died with FreeSpace 2. FreeSpace 2 was critically acclaimed, heavily marketed, and then flopped. And Space Sims basically died until nowadays, when we have Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen, I think, are both coming out next year, which is really exciting, but they gotta match up to FreeSpace for me. Like, this is my bar to beat when it comes to Space Sims. I like the design of the Shivens, which, if you're watching when this releases, then maybe some slight spoilers, and you haven't seen them yet. But the Shivens are a neat race. They're obviously alien. I mean, Vasudans are, 2 legs, 2 arms, 1 head, all in the kind of expected places. Shivens are just complete, abominations. What do we do with these? They're lethal and hostile, and their intents are just totally unknown. So I really like it. FreeSpace 2 was good. I like FreeSpace because it's a nice complete story. FreeSpace 2 was good. The art direction got a little too, I don't know, bubbly for me. It looked like it tried to evolve a bit too much. It's kind of like when you look at a car from the 70s versus a car from the 2010s, and all you see is just like rounded aerodynamic stuff. It's like, we're in space, we don't need aerodynamics. Ain't nobody got time for that. Anyway, FreeSpace 2 ended on a cliffhanger. And a pretty big one, FreeSpace kind of ended on a, things are bleak, but it's not a cliffhanger. It was all wrapped up and cohesive. FreeSpace 2 ended on a cliffhanger, and then FreeSpace 3 never happened. Like I said, Volition split with Interplay, and never ended up developing FreeSpace 3. A dozen years have passed, and, there's been a couple bits from developers about things they had ideas to happen, but I don't think the story will ever be completed, which is kind of sad. Um, hopefully with all the space sims coming out, if like Star Citizen and Elite Dangerous do really well, then hopefully they'll be given a chance to make Free Space 3. Um, in the meantime, I'm going to keep playing Free Space, and I hope that you'll join me. If you're enjoying these videos, if you enjoyed this Tech Room video, remember to rate it with a thumbs up. If you're enjoying the playlist, maybe you could subscribe. Um, you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter.com/BoaterBug to get more. Patreon.com/BoaterBug supports me and lets me get stuff that I need to, keep making stuff that's interesting for you guys. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.